Today I'm with an old friend, not old in years, but old in tenure. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a teacher, he's a marketer, and now we can say he's an author. Greg Licciardi, tell us your story. And I'd like to hear more about your story. We know one another for several years now, but the whole community doesn't know you. So I'd like them to get to know you a little bit more about you, and certainly to get to the point of why you're on the tour now, which is the book you have coming out called Unlocking the Holy Grail of Marketing. And that's authored by you, Greg Licciardi. Greg, welcome, and tell us a little bit about you personally, where you grew up, where you live now. I know you're married and your father. We mentioned that in the opening. Fill in the blanks a little bit.
Great. And thank you so much, Jim, for having me on your podcast. I'm a big fan. It's really an honor to be here today. And I live in Summit, New Jersey. I have 3 kids, as you mentioned. And I've been teaching marketing now 10 years. I can't believe it's gone so fast. I teach
at Fordham University,
yes,
right?
at Fordham and Seton Hall University. And I really have a great passion for the marketing industry. And over the years, I've been teaching a framework in my classroom that I've coined as the Holy Grail of Marketing, which is the title of my book, as you shared, which is really exciting to have it come to life. And it's been in the works now about 1.5 years. And it will be publishing in mid-May.
You've been teaching for these 10 years. You've boiled it down to a template that gives you an opportunity to cover all the bases about what marketing is. Before I ask you, what is marketing? What was your inspiration to do this?
Yeah, good question. So in the 10 years that I've been teaching, there's really 3 areas. So the first one is I've seen the rapid change of marketing, breakneck speed, as AI and martech, marketing technologies have set in. So I teach that currently. I've been teaching it for the past couple of years, and that is the ability to reach the right person with the right message in the right environment at the right time, delivering the right outcome.
What does that imply about the product?
So the product, it's the marketing that surrounds the product. So
well, I mean, you said the right person, the right time, the right message. Do you have to be, how do you decide if you have the right product or service that you want to deliver to that person?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It all comes down to the product has to be in line with the right person. So you have to immerse yourself to know who your core customer is. So
is that determining if there's an appropriate need or want?
Yes. So you identify the white space in the marketplace. Where is there an unfulfilled need? And how are you going to capture that with your product? And who is going to be the consumer that would have the most need for that product and be most likely to purchase or use your product? And that's where the right message, it is a framework that the sequence is very important.
How important, Greg, in your analysis, is the idea of emotion? Being able to connect with someone emotionally.
Absolutely. And that is the second point that made me inspired to write this book. So as AI has advanced and marketers have become dazzled.
Let the record show we're only a couple of minutes in. We've already mentioned AI. It changes, It changes your world, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So what's happening today, marketers are finding AI very easy to apply and use in their marketing campaigns with short-term results that really focus on conversions. With that, though, what's being lost is that emotional connection that they have with their consumers.
So drill down, if you would, Greg, for us. You think you have the right product or service. You've identified the right product or the need or the want in the customer. Give us a practical example of how you're seeing the application of AI technologies aiding the process of getting through that holy grail of the right message, the right time, the right person.
Yeah, it's all about contextualization. And what the big term is today in AI is agentic AI. which gives marketers the ability not to just put an output that answers a question, but it actually thinks and provides a answer that has contextual relevance to the consumer they're marketing to. Okay.
In that sense, is context the same as personalization?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's service oriented. It goes beyond just a question. It gives you a context of other ideas and solutions to answer the question that you may have been given, or to deliver a message that goes beyond. I'll give you an example. I used to consult for a company called Content Square. One of our clients was Goop when they were starting out, and they went to this dynamic page design for their website. And what that means is they tracked purchasing behavior for their consumers, so that when a consumer came back to their website after making a purchase, let's say they bought fuchsia lipstick, the next time they came to Goop's website, the image that's up front and center was fuchsia lipstick and nail polish and other items that would go with their next purchase that were contextually relevant to their interests and the products that they sold. And that is happening in marketing in real time, automated through messaging that is served to consumers and retargeting consumers with products and services. And what that all does is it optimizes the point of sale. It optimizes the distance between desire and purchase and shortens it, right? And that is customer experience. That's optimizing the customer experience so that that journey that they have is assisted and easier and adds value and utility, so that when they come back again, they can expect that same experience or that same messaging. So the third area, I said there were three areas that inspired me to write my book, was about a year ago. I got hooked on junk. I became a fast food junkie. Working from home on Fridays, I started ordering from Wendy's. I love their French fries and their chicken sandwiches. And I noticed that on Fridays around 11 a.m., I started getting Wendy's ads sent into my social feeds. And it wasn't just ads, it was offers, incentivizing me to come in. And so what they were doing was they were reaching the right person. They knew that I'd gone to Wendy's. They reached me with the right message, the right time, right before lunch on Fridays. They knew I was home. And the right outcome, because I was continuing to purchase Wendy's more and more and not going to McDonald's or their competition. So they knew how to hook me. They knew when to get me, and they did it deliberately with the right messaging.
Greg, in that sequence of description there, the counter argument is, and you sort of answered my question in your answer there, which is, my question starts with, why do they need to come to you? You've already established a pattern. On Friday, you order Wendy's. So my question is, why did they have to come to you with a discount? In your answer, you said, so they assure that I don't change my pattern and go somewhere else. Is the next step that they try and figure out if there's a Wendy's near where you work?
Why not? Absolutely. And that is the Holy Grail. The more they can find out about their core consumers, where they live, where they work, what their habits are, what their food and drink and beverages and healthy lifestyle, what their lifestyle is, that's where they're going to have a leg up and increase market share, not only sales, but market share against their competition. Okay,
let's really drill down there, because I'm going to ask you who should buy and read The Holy Grail of Marketing. But on my way to that question, I'd ask you, you said, well, this next time they come to our site, we know she already came to Goop and bought fuchsia lipstick. How did we know? What are the ways that we can know that she's already been to our site and she's already bought fuchsia lipstick?
Yeah. So for Goop, it was knowing, it was following purchasing history.
But how do we know who they are? Are they logging in, or are they cookied?
They use data. So what Content Square does is it measures UX, user experience. So how long a visitor hovers over certain content. They measure when they purchase a product, what other products are they purchasing that are similar? And they also measure speed to checkout. So when someone gets onto a website, how long does it take them to actually put something in their cart and then make checkout and to make purchase, right? So all of that data is cookied. It's built into the software that runs underneath the website, right? Or on top of the website. And that is data. The other way marketers are finding contextual information is by third parties and lookalike audiences. And that data gets compiled into a stack, a tech stack that enables them to have a purview and a picture of their consumer almost in a snapshot so that they can follow them even offsite to incentivize them to come back to their site or to their store. And that's the power. The more data you have, the more you can personalize your messaging, the more you can personalize your messaging at the right time, right? So the framework is a holistic approach. If you miss one component, everything goes out the window. You could have the best messaging in the world. You could hire some hotshot agency to do your creative. But if that message isn't coming out at the right time, at the time when your consumer is in the optimal moment to make a purchase, you're not going to win. So it is a holistic framework that every component really has to be working together.
So now the second part is the question.
Sure.
You spend a year and a half writing the Holy Grail of Marketing. It's coming out in mid-May. Who should be thinking about, hey, I should pick that book up and read it?
When I thought about writing my book, I went to my wife and I said, look, I'm going to need some budget because it's going to take time to do this. It's going to need some upfront budget, right? So and she said, okay, fine. We'll take some money out of our life savings to put towards this book. But if it's, this is as much as we're getting, unless this book sells millions of copies, that's where we stop. So this book is for anyone who's accountable to every dollar they spend on marketing. And that can be from a startup brand to someone at Flowers who's launching a new product or new product launch and needs to pitch you, Jim, on getting that incremental funding to expand their marketing campaign. So it starts really from anyone who's passionate about marketing, who wants to learn more about marketing, or maybe new to marketing. That could be a CEO who all of a sudden wants to dive into the marketing for their company and learn more about how he can work with his marketing team, work with his CMO to make the company more successful. So it's really anyone who has an interest in using marketing to up their game, who may not be as well versed as someone who's been doing it for years. So the framework covers from the very beginnings to advanced marketing techniques.
All right. So we have a fellow out of school and a gal who's been in marketing for a long time. She works at a big company. The fellow just out of school is in a small business and he wants to grow it. So both of them are interested in picking up the Holy Grail of Marketing. And after they read it, what will they have? What tools will they have developed? Is there a checklist, a template that you help them through the thought process? So I'll get a specific template that I can then use every day as I look at my marketing ideas, my marketing spend, run it against this template that'll help me to make sure I'm hitting all of the right, checking all of the 5 boxes.
Yes. And there is a checklist actually at the end of the book, but the power of this book is that it is evergreen. So by time this book publishes in a month from now, marketing is going to look a lot different, right? New technologies are coming on the scene every day. This framework is a guiding North Star for anyone, again, who's accountable to a budget. the average tenure of a CMO today is, I think, 3.5 years. Marketing is now seen as a performance revenue driver of business. So there used to be Wanamaker. He was seen as the father of advertising. I always use this quote in my classroom. His famous saying was, "I know half of my advertising is working. I just don't know which half." Right? That can't happen anymore. Every dollar that you invest, you need to look at, is it returning it an investment? Is the ROI there or not? If it's not, then you need to be agile and adjust so that you can reach that consumer in ways that are meaningful at the right time, using different platforms that maybe you haven't used before, right? And those platforms, whether it's TikTok or gaming sites, they're evolving and offering new ways to market to their consumers, that the marketers that look at those environments and find the optimal environments will have great success. But this framework is something, it is a checklist. It is a guiding framework for them, because marketing is just going to get quicker. It's going to get more advanced. It's changing at rapid speed. And this is where I saw the great need, that white space out there in the marketing industry for marketers to go to be successful.
I heard recently another famous New York area professor, Professor Scott Galloway at NYU, who I'm a fan of. And I heard him make the comment recently, and I'm guessing that you'd agree. He said the role of the CMO has changed dramatically in the last couple of few years. And he said it's not so much, hey, I'm going to go hire an agency, we're going to do some pretty advertising. It's so much more strategic now, their thought process must be. And it may be, the example he used, and I'm sure I'm not doing him justice, but he said the example might be the best thing that we could do from a marketing perspective is to re-engineer our customer service function and make sure it's absolutely the best in our category, far and away the best. And that might be the best marketing decision that he and / or she and that organization can make. So do you agree with him on terms of the role of the CMO, how it's changed?
Yes, absolutely. Because consumers are king today. The customer is king. And if that customer experience if that isn't intact throughout the entire consumer journey, from visiting the website to going in the store to checking out on the website, that is where you'll lose your customer. You have to have a consistent customer experience, and that carries through every touch point. Yes, marketing is a big touch point, but the customer experience at retail, all the way to conversion, has to be at the highest level. So the CMO has to really focus on that. I agree 100%.
The CMO of today, she has to be looking not just at the advertisements, not just at the copy or the images they use, but she has to be able to step back and contextualize throughout the consumer experience you're saying, every touch point, not just the quote unquote advertising marketing. I see. Yeah. And do organizations have the right organizational construct to let that be the case? How do they have to think about how they organize and what the purview of that CMO is?
So that is covered. Actually, I have a chapter in Holy Grail of Marketing on how marketing and sales are increasingly converging. So CMOs now are spending much more time with the chief revenue officer. And the reason for that is the head of sales, they're with their customers. They're immersed in finding out what is it that is their objectives. How can your product or service contribute to the challenges or opportunities that they're having? And today, most CMOs have a technology background. It's very important because...
Is it mandatory now?
I don't know if it's mandatory, but it definitely gives you a competitive advantage in applying for roles or being a CMO, because today marketing is all about enhancing that customer experience, as we just discussed. And a lot of that comes through technology and data and ways that you can learn more about your consumer and what makes them tick and how you can enhance that customer experience. So a CMO that is well versed on some of these new technologies and AI, of course, that can offer contextual ability to really be ahead of the consumer and what their interests are will be the most successful. So definitely the role of the CMO is changing. The role of marketing departments are changing. The incentives that are offered to marketing along with sales as a team are being enhanced. And I think it's a real positive thing that's happening right now in the industry.
Greg, as a professor and a dad, when you see these changes that you speak of, are there what parts of marketing would you counsel your students or your children to say, I double click on that idea before you go further, because there's so many changes coming. So are creative directors in trouble? Are graphic designers in trouble? If photographers, if I can take an image instead of having to shoot it in 10 different settings, a new product, a physical product, I can now just take that image once, and through my Adobe tools, I can place that same image in all of those 10 different settings without having to retake the photo. What are the consequences of these new tools in terms of career choices and what skills you want to be sure you have in your toolbox?
I learned a lot in writing this book. So one of my contributors is Vera Sue. She's high up at Microsoft. She's a leader in their AI and data efforts. And she writes in my book about the importance of upskilling for AI. And she writes about the human aspect of AI, that it's important to still have that integrated into the process with marketing. And that's really true. So for students, I encourage AI to be used in the classroom to help them with their assignments. I don't encourage plagiarism, but the skill that's going to be important going forward is really curation, right? And really looking at the output and how it can be used effectively in the marketing in a way that has a humanistic approach, an authentic approach, not a message that comes out that can be used and shared, one message, one size fits all. But how can you take that output and really make it seamlessly integrated into the marketing message in a way that's personalized to specific consumer segments? And then how do you analyze that data, possibly using AI, right? But in a way that will enable your marketing to be consistent going forward.
Your student at Fordham, her name is Michaela, comes to see you after class and said, I'm really enjoying the class. I'm really enjoying marketing. What areas would you encourage me to focus on? And what areas would you tell me these are so likely to be changed by AI, I wouldn't pursue those paths?
The core foundation of marketing, which is knowing your audience, right? Having that ability to be an analyst, right? To be able to take data, look at it, and put it into campaigns that are deliberate and thoughtful. That's going to be still important. So having that analytical skill, right, that comes from reading case studies that we assign in the classroom is never going to go away. That's going to always be important.
So analytics, data application.
Yes. And actually, we have a marketing intelligence class that we offer now at Fordham, which is a great class. The other area is brand purpose. Okay. Understanding the benefits of brand purpose and brand ethos. And I cover this as well in the book, that cannot be lost just through developing a automated campaign. You really have to understand what is it? What is the brand ethos? And how is that going to consistently be put into every message that you have? That manifesto.
All right. So that's 4 real hardcore things that you're going to have skills in and knowledge of and comfort with.
And the last thing I'll just add, because we mentioned it, is take a marketing technology class or learn more about the latest trends in marketing technologies. There are certificate courses you can take. Learn about AI. Don't be fearful of it. Take an AI class. Learn how you can use AI in marketing. Because the job candidates that have AI experience, even right now, are going to win over candidates that don't.
Well, you and I have been in a room with our friend Seth Godin, who I know you're a fan of too. And he had a quote in one of his daily blogs that I read religiously last fall, where he said, if you're in a job, any job, and you're not trying to figure out how to use AI to do those parts of the job that would be better done by AI, rest assured your boss is trying to. And if you're not freeing yourself to do only the things that you can do as a human and use AI tools to do all those other aspects, you are likely on your way to be out of a job, and it's your own fault. On the other hand, by our mutual friend, Shelley Palmer, I heard him say recently that he's found that people who are really conversant with artificial intelligence and learn the powers of its use feel like they have a superpower. And he said they feel very comfortable if they're in a job kind of role, that even if for some reason they were out of that role, they have no doubt that A, they could pick up another job quickly, or B, they could function on their own independently because of the superpower they have acquired in terms of the knowledge and use of these AI tools. And I thought both of those were complementary and on the continuum of why you counsel each of your students, play with the technology. Shelley's other comment was, it's the only technology that comes without a user guide. In other words, if you want to learn how to use ChatGPT, sit down and ask ChatGPT, how do I learn how to use you?
That's right.
And I thought that was so clever.
Right.
It's not just people interested in marketing, but it's anybody in business. Everybody has to be a marketer, whether they're a plumber, an HVAC repairman, they're a copywriter, a photographer, or a division manager. If you're not comfortable with the basics of marketing, you're in trouble, and you're not going to advance your career either as an employee or as an independent. And it sounds to me like you've written the definitive Holy Grail of Marketing. Comes out in mid-May. Will we be able to get it everywhere, or is there any place in particular you'd point us to if we want to go and buy that book so that we're up to speed quickly? And by the way, a lot of people graduating now, makes a very nice graduation gift. So where will we be able to get the Holy Grail of Marketing?
Absolutely. It will be available on all platforms, Amazon. But for the short term, you can go to holygrailofmarketing.com and sign up for an alert when it's available. And I also want to add that the book has an amazing group of contributors, including Jim McCann, including you, Jim.
Wow, you've really stooped. You've stooped very low.
No, it's amazing what you do with your Pulse newsletter and all those ways that you're reaching your consumers that want to gift, that use 1-800-Flowers and Harry and David and all your amazing brands that fall under your umbrella, and the way you do it with such authenticity with your messaging. So it's really great to have you included, and it's great to be here today. And I hope to come back again when it's out there and we can discuss more of the different aspects that we started discussing today that will probably be changing so rapidly and be different even in a couple months from now.
Well, Greg, I know you're not the type to suck up, but the idea for those who are watching this to see that you have a nice floral bouquet in the background.
Yes.
Wait, attaboy.
Attaboy.
Greg, thanks so much. Greg, the professor and marketer and author of The Holy Grail of Marketing, thanks for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You're well, Greg.